So once I have made a copy of this credit recovery environment for your school, and I add you to the class list and give you your login credentials, and you have access to the course, the first thing you should do is go to Content and then Credit Recovery Profiles. Note that there are two sets of credit recovery expectation trackers here. One of them was developed by the Rainbow District School Board and the second was developed by the ministry. So I've created a chart to show who has developed which expectation tracker, and in some cases there is one developed by both. So scroll down and use the link that takes you to the live document for the Rainbow one. Note here that all the course codes are along the bottom, so you're always using this one document. It lists the overall expectations in the first column, the activities that exist within the course, and which assignment you could have them do to satisfy that expectation. Initially, it takes some time to look and see what you might get them to do. What I really like about this credit recovery expectation tracker is that it actually tells you what the assignment is, like a website review or something about a book choice or questions on a particular article. So that can be helpful in trying to determine what you decide to get the student to do. You also might want to target one particular unit and particular activities within that unit. So you can do that for each of the courses that are listed here. Now going back to the course, we also have the ministry developed expectation trackers. So you can click on whichever course you need and it will open up right inside the environment, and it tells you lined up by unit number and activity number what you could get them to do based on that expectation. So you'll notice that the document is usually a couple pages long and the X's indicate what activity. This one doesn't tell you exactly what it is, so you need to cross-reference with the course. So your next step is to choose the content that the student will complete. If I go back to the table of contents in the content area, you can see that all the courses are in the margin. So if I click on Geography, Unit 1, I am able to look at the different activities that are suggested in the course expectation tracker. So once you have chosen the activities the student will complete, you are ready to set that student up within the environment. The first step is to go to the Class List tool to add the student. Go to Add Participants, Add Existing User, search for the name of the student. You just need to use a part of the first name and a part of the last name to get the student to come up on the list. So I'm going to select Demo Student 1 and enroll them as a student. Enroll. Done, and now they are on the class list. The next step is to go to the Groups tool. There is one group created for each of the courses for which a student can complete credit recovery. You should put all the students who are in the same course in the same group. I'm going to put Demo Student 1 into the CGC 1P. So you click on the link, then select Enroll Users. Scroll down, it shows you all the users that are enrolled in the environment under the class list. I'm going to select Demo Student 1 and save. Now that student can see all of the content, discussions, drop boxes, and quizzes for that course. Next, it's time to create a checklist for that group. So click on Checklist. Note that all the checklists are created already for each of the courses, but they need to be filled with checklist items. So I'll go into the CGC 1P, and it just has a brief instruction overall, and under restrictions it'll show you that it's restricted to the credit recovery course group CGC 1P. Now it's important to understand the next thing I'm going to say. If you have all the students doing the same credit recovery work, you can use this one checklist for all of them. If you want to give them different work, then you'll need to create a new checklist, and I will have to explain to you how to connect it just to that student. So I'm going to keep explaining the simple way as if you had all the students doing the same credit recovery work. So in each, I have already created a category, CGC 1P group or student 1. I have added one item to the list. If you want to add a new item, select New Item, then give it a name. Now the name is what you saw below. So I might say Unit 1, Activity 2, Assignment 2. I can put additional description here if needed. Now I can go Save and New, so if you have all your items listed out that you want to put on the list, you can hit Save and New. If you're unsure, you can hit Save. And I'm just going to go back to the list to show you that this new item has been added to the list. So I'm going to save and close, go to the class list, and I'm going to impersonate Demo Student 1. And now I'll show you what their checklist looks like. So the checklist appears here. It says there are 0 completed out of 2 items. Click on it, it opens in a new window, and it shows items I can check off. So if I finish that, I can check it off and hit Save. Now note that that's the checklist for the student. If you want to see the checklist, as mentioned before, you will need to impersonate them and then click on their checklist and see what they have checked off. And it will tell you an exact time and date that it was completed. If you're going to have 2 different students complete different work for the same course, you will need to set up a new group. So first we go to Groups. I need another CGC 1P group. So I'm going to go to Credit Recovery Course Groups and go Add a Group. So I'm going to change the name of that group to CGC 1P, and maybe I add the student's name to it so I know exactly what student is in that group. It doesn't really matter what you make the group code. I'm just going to shorten it up, and I'm not going to write a description. Save. It saves the group alphabetically, so you see it appears here now. You may want to go into the first one and change it to Demo Student 1, since that's going to be their group. So I'm going to go into Demo Student 2 and enroll Demo Student 2 as a user. Okay, so now it shows that there's one person in that group. My next step is to go now and create a new checklist. So I'm going to create a new checklist and label it the same, CGC 1P Demo Student 2. I'm not going to worry about writing a description. I'm going to say Open in a new window. I'm going to create and attach a new condition, and based on the group enrollment, I'm going to select the group Demo Student 2, create, and so now Demo Student 2 is the person that can see this checklist. I'm going to save and then go to Checklist Contents. Now I need to add a new category. I would say make the category the same, CGC 1P Demo Student 2, save. Now underneath this category, I am now going to add items. So new item, I might say Unit 1, Activity 3, Assignment 1. Save. So I have saved one item to the student's checklist. You can put additional instructions if you wish. The steps would be to continue adding new items for that particular student. So basically what we have done is we have created a new CGC 1P checklist that is aligned specifically with that new student. I can go to the old checklist for CGC 1P, and I could add more specific information so I understand and remember which student is attached to this one. So I'm going to write Demo Student number 1, save and close. At this point, if you want it to be alphabetical order, you'll need to go to More Actions, Reorder, and then you can change this item to number 2, Save. So I created the groups, one for each course, and then created a checklist that aligns with each of those groups. But if you're going to have them do individual work, then it is necessary to set each student up as a separate group with their own checklist. So a little on quizzes. You may choose not to use the quizzes. It's possible that there are some that are built into the course as formative items, meaning they're always available and the student can use it at any time. So this is an example of one that is always available. So it says always available and it doesn't say inactive beside it. So I'm going to enter this item just to show you what that looks like under restrictions. So the status is active, it doesn't have a start and end date, and there is no time limit. Those are the 3 settings that are most important. So for this one, it's available all the time, there's no time limit, so I will save and close on that one. I'm going to scroll down to show you another situation. These MBF3C ones, they say always available. That means that the students can access them at any time. If you are planning to use these as an actual assessment, go in and change the setting on these quizzes. So edit, restrictions, and then you might say, I'm going to choose a start and an end date. Usually it chooses now, and then you choose when you want to end it. Notice that it's time sensitive as well. So if you want them to have access to it for a full day, you might change this to 6 a.m. and then 12 midnight. You can choose to display this in the calendar if you wish. Note that if you do that, if you make it active and then create a time that it's available, it won't show in the list of quizzes for the student except during that time frame. Again, if you wish to set a time limit, you can change that here and decide how many minutes. They literally get locked out of the quiz when they reach the time limit. So let's go save and close, and you will see that there's a change now here. It shows that it's going to be available between these times and dates. Okay, I'm going to leave that one for a moment and go down further to show you this one. So this one says always available, but it's inactive. So to make it actually show for the students, we need to again go into restrictions, change this to active. Now you may choose to just go in and make it active, and then once the student is done, make it inactive again. But you could also put a start date and end date on it. So maybe you say you have until now, until maybe you say, you have until noon to do this. And you could save and close. Again, you can display it in the calendar, and you can also enforce a time limit. As soon as they hit start on the quiz, that's the time limit they get to complete the quiz. So you might leave the quiz available from 10:46 until, well, let's even make it longer here, 3 o'clock. So you've essentially given them a little over 4 hours to complete the quiz. But down here you say, you know what, once you start that quiz, you have 60 minutes to complete it. Save and close. So it gives the time range here. It doesn't tell you that there's a time limit, just looking on this screen. But that's basically an explanation of the 3 things that are most important. So as a recap, if it's always available, it means that the student can see it all the time. However, if it's set to inactive, it needs to be set to active, or the student cannot see it. If you want to make it available just during a certain time or date frame, you can use these settings to set that time frame. You can choose to display it in the calendar. And then if you wish to enforce a time limit from the time they press start, you can do that here.